I was the one who divorced my husband when he was spiraling years ago, and it still hurts years later. He's doing so much better nowadays, smiling so genuinely, and I'm not sure if I should reach out to tell him I miss him. Posted by you/emptyad2301. I, 35M, divorced my husband, 36M, 3 years ago. And God, I miss him. I asked for a divorce for a few reasons, the biggest being that his depression got exponentially worse day after day, and he refused to seek treatment. Sometimes, he wouldn't even go to work and ended up getting fired from his job. I stayed with him for so freaking long, praying that one day he would start trying to get better. It was all I ever wanted, but that day didn't come. I sobbed the entire time I signed those papers, and when I handed them to him and asked for a divorce, he just gave me the emptiest, deadest look and signed them without a word. My heart felt like it had been shattered with a hammer. Anger, sadness, and fear tied together in the world's tightest, ugliest knot set deep into my chest. I put on a brave face for my friends, tried to frame it as the shackles coming off and a new beginning, but it was a lie. It just hurt, and it keeps hurting, and it will never stop hurting. He was my soulmate. I'll never love anyone like I loved him. He used to be so sweet and loving, so passionate and happy, everything a man could want from another. They say each day gets easier, but it hasn't for me. It's been 3 years, and I'm still reaching over to the other side of the bed in the morning to pull him close, and it always stings when my hands touch fabric instead of his skin. It's been 3 years, and I'm still expecting to see his car in the driveway when I get home from work. It's been 3 years, and my heart isn't any less broken than the day he left. I've been stalking his socials, I'll admit. He's been getting back to the gym, started meds, and I see him smiling so genuinely in these photos. He looks so incredible. Maybe if I had just waited, he would have changed his mind and gone to a doctor like he is now. Or was it me that held him down? Was I making it worse? I hope not. I want to go over to his place, just fall into his arms, and beg him to take me back. Maybe he's wishing the same thing about me. If there's even a chance I could have my boy back, I feel like I should try. I'll never know otherwise. Edit. 1. I am a gay man. My husband is a gay man. I am not a woman. Yes, I know I'm effeminate and kind of emotional. Get creative. 2. My husband was a binge drinker. He refused treatment no matter how much I begged. We got antidepressants, but he wouldn't take them. I know he started meds now because he's posted about them in his 2-year sober chip that he got last month. 3. I never stopped loving him. I never loved him any less. Near the end of our marriage, I started drinking to cope. The second I realized I knew he was dragging me down with him, and I couldn't help him anymore. I didn't leave the second it got hard. Many of you are being kind of rude. I'll accept that I wasn't the perfect husband, nobody is. But claims that I never loved him are just wrong and make me feel sick to my stomach. Edit 2. No, I am not the catalyst for this. His depression started when his younger brother died terribly and unexpectedly. It's not because he just hated me so much. We were childhood sweethearts and had been together for years when this happened. Relevant comments. Commenter. Sometimes, people just cannot progress until they hit rock bottom, and maybe your leaving was that for him. It doesn't necessarily mean you held him down, he just couldn't find the desire and motivation to progress while you were holding him. Don't beat yourself up. It wasn't your fault he was sick and didn't want to ask for help. In the end, we all need to want that help. Without it, all other people's efforts are worthless. If you ended things amicably, you can always hit him up and ask how he feels. Maybe he'll ignore you, maybe not, but you'll know you've tried. And stop stalking him, that is keeping you from healing. Ops response. Thank you, I needed to hear a lot of this. Maybe I'll call him just to see how he's doing. He doesn't hate me, I know that much. I'd like to see him regardless. Commenter 2. If you do this, just be honest with yourself about your motives. Update 3 days later. Well, with Reddit's advice, I did it. A few days ago, I called my 35M ex-husband, 36M, whom I divorced after 6 years when he refused to seek treatment for his depression. I called him later in the evening. It was the first time we'd spoken since a bit of trouble he'd had while he was still drinking 2.5 years ago. He picked up on the second ring. Our conversation was a little stilted at first, as expected, but he said he was really glad to hear from me. We ended up meeting for coffee yesterday, as so many of you suggested. I'll admit, it was kind of hard to see him, but in a good way. He looked so much better than the last time I had seen him, but he looked exactly like the man I married. He had lost a ton of weight, he gained about 75 pounds during his struggle with depression, and before some jerk says so, I didn't leave him because of his weight gain. He looked way healthier and very put together. I'll just say it, he looked incredibly hot. What made it hard was that I couldn't kiss him hello like I used to. But God, the way his eyes lit up when he saw me, I barely needed to. We got our coffee and sat down, and he updated me a little on his life over the last 3 years. What really turned his life around was, in part, the divorce, but more so a DUI. Nobody was hurt, he was caught a few blocks from his apartment. Since then, he's gone to rehab in Al-Anon, gotten his license back, and had to use a breathalyzer whenever he started his car for a while. He hasn't had a drop of alcohol since, and I told him I was so freaking proud of him. He's also started antidepressants and made a point of telling me they're not SSRIs, but when I asked what that meant, he got embarrassed and said, "Never mind, I'm still confused." Bottom line is, they've been helping him, he's back to being a gym rat, and he's almost completely turned his life around. This was around the point I started tearing up. It just felt so good knowing he was okay. Better than okay, he was good. I also apologized to him for not sticking by him. He cut me off and said I had nothing to apologize for. He was a wreck, and I was being dragged down with him. That also felt good to hear. I apologized for not contacting him much over the last 3 years. That apology, he accepted. He had been dating someone for a few months, too. He broke up with him after the guy tried to get him to drink on New Year's. He seemed dismissive of him. Guess it wasn't too serious. We got up and went on a walk after a few hours, and I think we both realized it felt like a first date. I'll admit, I had to stop myself from trying to hold his hand a few times. We ended up sitting on a bench in a nearby park, and I confessed. I told him I missed him more than anything, that I never stopped loving him, and that if he wanted to, I'd love to try again, from the beginning this time. We'd go to couples therapy, keep our heads above water, and take it slow. He was quiet for a minute before he told me something. He said he was doing better now, but there may be a time when he sinks low again. Depression isn't easily cured, and he was far from cured. He still had bad days, but there would be one difference: he promised he would never stop trying to improve. He was never going to give up like he did before and refuse to neglect me like he used to. If I was willing to accept that truth, he was willing to try again. I agreed, and he pulled me into an embrace and snuck a kiss on my temple. You know when it's the first warm day of spring after a cold, harsh winter, and the soft breeze and basking sun hit your skin at the same time? It felt something like that, to the 1000th degree. After a while, he walked me back to my car and squeezed my hand goodbye, and the second I got inside, I started sobbing like a baby. Happy tears, though. I'm currently sitting in bed, kicking my feet like a teenage girl, texting him back and forth to schedule an actual date. He said he'd plan everything and try his best to make up for the birthdays and anniversaries he missed. He said it would knock my socks off. What a dork. I love being in love. Not gonna lie, this is gonna be a bit hard to explain to my friends and family. Not looking forward to those conversations, but right now, I don't care. My man loves me. Thank you to everyone who had kind words to say and all the people who messaged me with sympathy and advice. I hope we all find happiness and love if we want it. I never would have made the leap if you all hadn't encouraged me. Best of luck to all of you, and sorry for the overly flowery language. Relevant comments. Commenter. Could the SSRI thing be a reference to how side effects are sometimes related to sexual performance with antidepressants? I'd imagine it makes a man embarrassed, lol. But this is so cute, I started getting so happy for you. Ops response. Oh my god, that is what he meant, isn't it?